Milwaukee
Okay.
Bucks, Phoenix Suns. It's gonna be a tricky one because Giannis might not play. Hyperextended knee. It looked crazy, but they said that the test results show is no real damage or anything like that. He's listed as day to day. Um, if Giannis does not play, do you give the Bucks a chance of winning this series?
No.
Not at all. You don't think they got a chance without Giannis? You think we can get another 28, another 32-point night from Brooke Lopez, Bobby Porter stepping up? No, it's over.
No. No.
But you ain't got no hope for the. All right, so hold on. Let's go back for a second. Let's take it back. Atlanta Hawks versus Milwaukee. Now, I felt like even with Giannis going down, I still kind of thought that the Bucks had a better team than Trey. Even if he actually came back, I thought that they should have still been able to win that series. I think they just finally got brought back down to earth. Shout out to the Hawks, though. I think they had an amazing run this season. But ultimately, I think they finally came across a team that was better than them. And even without Giannis, they got past. Have you heard anything in regards to Giannis that would lead us to believe that he may actually play in this finals?
No. Nothing new. I hate to keep giving you the word no, but I have not heard anything official or unofficial. I know that that injury looked worse on camera than it did after he walked. Like the impact at first was like whoa,
Yeah.
and then as you saw him kind of get up and walk and go about getting to the visiting locker room at State Farm Arena, you had hope he'd come back, but I think the Trey Young injury was the catalyst in that series for everything. And I think that the good thing that the Hawks had going in their favor in that game was that they had like what a 10-point, 12-point lead in the game without him. So the Bucks had to prove that they could beat the Hawks without Trey Young. They did that, but the Suns aren't the Hawks,
Yeah,
and
not at all.
I think that when you look at that team, man, there were times where you may have questioned the Clippers' ability to make some things happen. As I said on your show a couple months ago, that I felt that the Clippers had a chance to make it, particularly with the addition of Rajon Rondo. But I think also when you look at the Bucks by far exceeded many folks' expectations, pretty much because of that Brooklyn series and Kyrie Irving's injury, and ultimately when it came down to it, also James Harden's injury. He played 43 seconds in game one, and they tried to play catch up. That security guard incident was a thing.
Yeah.
Just a lot of factors that had nothing. Well, some had to do with basketball, but many of it had to do with the negativity side of it, particularly with injuries and all those other things. But for the Bucks to get to where they are, you also have to commend them and give them their just due because they played in the Eastern Conference where everybody, it was a foregone conclusion that um, they thought it was a foregone conclusion that it was going to be Nets, Sixers representing the East, and the Lakers in the West. And I've spoken to folks on a Western Conference team that feel as though the Suns need to take care of their business because it's going to be all about Brooklyn and LA, as in the as in the Lakers next year, particularly with a healthy Anthony Davis and a healthy LeBron James and a healthy Kyrie Irving as well on Brooklyn side. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think this is the best chance that Chris Paul is going to get to win a ring outside of maybe if he had, that trade that went through to the Lakers a couple years ago. But other than that, this is the best chance he's gotten. I know people talk about the route that they took to get there. You know, Pretty much every team missing one of their stars along the way. But I still say you can only play who's in front of you. And they got the job done. Is Chris Paul Finals MVP in this series?
They got to play it first. Hey man, come Come on now, they got to play it first.
They do got to play it. But do you think that Chris Paul? Because I mean, Chris Paul has done some amazing things in this playoffs. The way he closed out the series against the Clippers, an amazing night. But the best player doesn't always come up with the Finals MVP. I know for Chris Paul's for his legacy, I think that it would be great. I think he would get a huge boost because one of the things we're going to talk about are the top 5 point guards all time and where a championship win puts Chris Paul all time. But Devin Booker has been playing very good for his first postseason, and if he's averaging 28, 5-5 in the series, that might be hard for somebody to vote another direction.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of like that Iguodala situation where in 2015 he was the MVP, but he wasn't even the best player in the whole finals. It was LeBron,
Yeah,
and you weren't giving it to Steph at that point. Steph got the award for the most beautifulest family in the world. At that point, that was the whole Riley Curry.
Shout out to Riley Curry.
Yeah, so I think as it relates to Devin Booker, yeah, I think you're onto something there. But I also think that when you look at the Nets, when you look at the Suns, I keep saying Nets. You look at the Suns, that's how I'm tired from all the writing I've been doing throughout the playoffs. But when you look at the Suns and just the buildup of their team, I mean, it's not just Chris Paul, and I think that's what gets lost in translation. I mean, this Suns team, everybody talks about the 8 straight games they won in the bubble, and I use this analogy often. Booker and Ayton, DeAndre Ayton, that is.
He's playing great right now as well.
Were part of a cake that was already baked. Chris Paul was the icing on that cake. And, when you look at that team and what they've been able to do and just adding Chris Paul to the puzzle, I mean, it was significant. As you saw my reporting last offseason, the Sixers, the Knicks, the Bucks, it's I'll tell you, like Giannis had a meeting with the Bucks ownership before he signed that extension. It was Labor Day weekend, and he had a list of names of guys that he wanted the team with. And I'll tell you that Chris Paul and James Harden were both on that list, and Harden nor Paul are on the team that they played with last year anymore. And that's a whole different conversation as it relates to just the ultimate fall of the Houston Rockets, particularly with Daryl Morey now in Philadelphia, James Harden in Brooklyn, Chris Paul in the NBA Finals representing the Suns, and PJ Tucker in Milwaukee.
Yep.
And the fact that Tucker and Paul are in a Finals appearance after leaving Houston, like that's a whole interesting story there. But I'll add this specifically to your question. I do think that the Suns have a good team on paper. They also have the blessings of good coaching under Monty Williams, and his story is so significant. Where he is now. And I remember, at Bally, the first story that I penned was actually about the Suns as a whole. And I talked about Monty Williams and talked with people within, that organization who, meaning the Pelicans organization that, they grew with him. Like most people, they all say to me the same thing. I don't have one bad word to say about him.
Yeah.
And I think that's significant specifically because in a day and age where social media and just relationships and everything, that's interesting. I'll also add that his time with the Pelicans, he wanted Anthony Davis to be the next Bill Russell and play at the 5 in New Orleans. And, Davis wanted to be that slasher, the 3-4-5 combo. And I'm going off on a tangent, but just to see Monty Williams and then even James Jones be in a position that he's in, I think it's a great story. And it's good to see. And that's on both sides. I think if it's one thing I'm kind of disappointed about, I'm disappointed that the Hawks didn't make it because I liked their story. I liked their nobody expected them to get as far as they did. I don't think many people expected them to beat the Knicks, and they did, and then to beat the Sixers, a highly, highly respected and coveted franchise. And it's great. But Milwaukee did their thing, and you got to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, especially winning them last 2 games without Giannis being there, you got to give them that. see, with the thing, my issue with the Hawks was I think and I like Trae Young, but I think he was doing too much talking, the shimmies, doing all like Steph does it, but Steph is a 2-time MVP, 3-time NBA championship. It's okay when Chef do the little shimmy, but I was like, come on, Trey, you gotta win something first before you start doing all that shimmying, because you get humble real fast in this league. And sure enough, they back at home. In regards to Monty Williams, I think he's a great coach, and I'm so happy for him. I always go back in regards to Monty, back when he was with New Orleans on the first go round, and I was watching I forget what was the show I was watching on NBA TV, but they were covering Monty Williams talking to the players, and he wasn't talking to them about basketball. He was talking to them about life and just things that they need to be aware of, as far as just entourages and money and different things like that. So he was just giving them game, as opposed to just saying, my job is coach. Anything that goes on outside this basketball court really don't have no concern to me. But when you're talking about a group of young black men and him being a leader of those young black men, I love the fact that he took it far beyond his job as a basketball coach and was giving those young guys those life lessons. So I always have a high regard for Monty Williams. Plus, anytime it's a black head coach, I got to go for the black head coach, because we don't always get those positions. We don't even always get a fair shot at getting those positions. So anytime it's a brother at the helm, I'm all for that. I got to support that. And again, CP3 been in the league a long time. He's one of my favorite players, one of the top players. So I'm happy for him. At this point, you better get the job done though. Especially if Giannis does not play, you have to. There's no excuse for the Suns to not win this series.